want to go to development. I want to go to housing and ask you a question that has been around for as long as I can remember in New Jersey. I'll start with you, Congressman Sherrill. If you're elected governor...
Your microphone.
My mic not on?
No.
Okay. Okay, then how about if I talk really loudly? Now I'm good? Okay. If you're elected governor, Congresswoman, who will have the final say on development issues? Will it be state government or will it be local elected officials?
It will be me as governor, state government in conjunction with local officials as we have buy-in to the plan. Because what we have to do is build more houses in this state. You're never going to make New Jersey more affordable if you don't make housing more affordable. So everyone from the woman who had retired in Patterson, who now had to go back to work because she couldn't afford her rental price, to the couple who loses bid after bid after bid because they can't afford any home in New Jersey. And that's why, as we build out, we've got to do several things. We have to make the first-time homebuyer program more robust. Right now, it's only $15,000, and we know the average home, if it's $500,000 here in New Jersey, unaffordable, but that would be a $100,000 down payment. So that first-time homebuyers program is inadequate. We also have to cut down red tape, especially with the state permitting. So bring the state permitting organizations together, make sure you end the redundancies, set deadlines, and that's exactly what I would do as governor, deadlines on how long it's going to take them to get through, and then finally ensure that the local permitting process has technical support from the state on zoning, on engineering, et cetera, so that we can all work together to get these houses built.
Listen, the governor of Colorado just did an executive order that I thought was amazing, because the problems he's having, we're having. When we leave it to local control, it's not getting built. So what I say is, after 4 years, if you're not spending your money, the state can take the money. The state can buy a piece of land and the state can build the housing. Now, we should absolutely reward governments that are doing the right thing. We should give extra TTF money for communities that are doing the right thing. We should provide more tax relief for communities that are doing the right things. But for the towns that aren't doing it, for the cities that are not doing it, in towns, it's not okay. It's too expensive to buy a house because home rule is controlling the decisions. And as governor, I would take the funding from these towns if they're not going to use it. If they're not going to use it, hey, it's been 50 years since Mount Laurel. When's time up?
Josh Gottheimer.
Thank you. We know that rents are up 33% in the last few years, which is brutal for people. And part of the reason is it takes us 5 to 7 years to build anything in Jersey. In other states, it takes 2 to 3. So we're 220,000 units short of where we should be. That's why I'm giving families and folks a tax cut for property taxes and a rental rebate. But what we really need to do is get more built near mass transit, in abandoned office parks. And what we should do is change the way we approve things. Put all the players at the table, the local, the county, the state, at one time. Other states do this. And so they have one conversation in the beginning, and then they have a clock, right? A shot clock to actually get things approved. Have the conversation once versus taking years. One person has it, then the next person has it, and it takes years to approve anything, and the costs just keep going up for folks. We've got to change the way our bureaucracy works in Jersey, crush the bureaucracy, and get things built faster for people, like on abandoned office parks, like in abandoned government buildings. We can do this.
D. Phillip, you were next.
Yeah, I think when you get into the conversation about home rule, you get into a tricky place here. And I think it's important why you need a mayor as a governor. You haven't had one for 20 years and understanding these local municipalities. The reality is that people choose to live in certain suburban towns because of their choice of what they like there. So trend overriding every aspect is problematic. But there certainly are places around mass transit, New Jersey transit property, that the state should control the zoning. And the state needs to do a better job of creating transparency around who is committing the necessary steps to move housing forward. And then Trent needs to follow those with funding. When a mayor says they need more school or infrastructure funding, that is valid. And that is what the governor needs to do in order to actually move this stuff forward.
Raz Baraka.
We need some consistency. We can't be against home rule in one debate and for home rule in the next debate either. We need to declare a state of emergency on housing. The governor needs to do that immediately. The the policy should be driven by the state of New Jersey, by the governor, with the support of local building trades, support of community housing advocates, and local elected officials to sit at the table to decide how much housing they want to build in the next 2 or 3 years. I would say 15 to 20,000 units of housing, identify places to build it, transit first, and begin building that housing immediately. We begin to empower community development organizations to build low-income and moderate housing and affordable housing in communities where big buildings can't go, and empower community-based organizations to do that kind of housing in those communities with clinics at the bottom of it, with retail at the bottom of it. This is exactly what needs to happen across the state of New Jersey. And if we had a public bank, we can invest our money in that bank and begin to create a fund so we can begin to affect the market for low-income and affordable housing in the state of New Jersey. Right now, the market is only for luxury housing, and that's a fact. And
So,
anybody can say that they built
David-
affordable housing in New Jersey,
David's going to,
but building affordable housing in a city where the income is $37,000 a year means that that's real affordable housing that we must build in the state of New Jersey. I think they should take cues from what we're doing in Newark and begin to do it statewide.
okay, we're going to get Mikey Sherrill, Steve Sweeney for 15 seconds, and David has a follow-up. 15,
Yeah, let me-
15. We want to make sure we get to everything.
Let me just do a quick follow. As you're going to follow up, I'd like you to address whether this should be done by executive order by the governor's office, or whether this should be done in conjunction with the legislature in terms of strengthening the state's power on making sure there's housing.
Well, I think I'll start here with first. I want to piggyback on what Senator Sweeney said about Colorado, because that is an example of a blue state that's doing very innovative work. I think we see across the country too many blue states seem to be unwilling to cut through some of the permitting and regulatory process. Colorado has built over the past 3 years, since 2022, has built twice the amount of housing per capita as New Jersey has. And while New Jersey's home prices have gone up by 50% over the past 5 years, Colorado's have actually gone down by about 20%. So that is why this is such an important thing. As far as executive order, I think you start with the legislator. Look, I'm a legislator. I think that's what I have a gift for, is building out broad coalitions of support on bringing people together around the issues we care about. But certainly, I also think we do have a housing emergency in the state that we have to address.
Listen, look, I believe in giving towns the opportunity. The problem is we've had 50 years of asking, and it's not happening. You know what I mean? So we've said pretty please too many times. So I said earlier, what Colorado did, I would incentivize towns that are doing the right things, cities are doing the right things, reward them for doing the right things. But after that, I'm not going to ask anymore because they're not doing it. It's 50 years. 50 years on affordable housing. So asking permission, no. I would sign an executive order if these communities don't start building the housing that they're required to do, because young people are leaving. I had a young person come up to me the other day at an event and said, I'm going to have to leave New Jersey. I was in Philadelphia. He said, because I can't afford a house here. That's not what we want.
You have 15, Steve,
The
full
question
15.
the question is by executive action? Absolutely. This is not working. The system is not working. It's broken. People are getting crushed. Kids are leaving, as Steve said. Seniors are leaving because they can't afford it. A governor's got to cut through. And by the way, the governor's also supposed to be responsible to make sure there's water, energy, roads are fixed in these communities that are growing, and help the locals handle this. We can't keep doing it this way, guys. It's broken, and we've got to fix it. And the governor's got to step up and help fix it.
I actually agree with Josh Gottheimer. I'm surprised.
You should read my plans, too,
let me say.
LastForJersey.com, man.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I think executive order is very important, in particular around the transit-oriented development. The New Jersey Transit orphan properties, which are throughout the state of New Jersey, you start with an executive order right out of the gate. It should be in the first 30 or 60 days, because you don't have a lot of time to get those properties going. So yes, executive order, particularly around transit-oriented development, particularly around New Jersey Transit-owned properties, to get that development started.
One more.
Yeah, and Mayor, follow-up. I want to do just a quick, maybe a fact check on this. The Turnpike extension dollars are from bonds and bondholders.
Yep.
Can they be reallocated to mass transit?
They've been reallocated in other states. Other governors have done that, actually. You saw Wes Moore do that in Maryland, the same sort of structure. As soon as he got in there, he reallocated dollars from highways towards mass transit. Same sort of structure.
All right, but the question is, what do the bondholder covenants say now?
I mean, I would take the steps. I believe that we can do that. And yes, I would take the appropriate steps to do that. And let me say this. You asked the question, that there is going to be litigation around that turnpike widening, okay? It's early on in the process as far as the approvals and the environmental studies. So there still is plenty of time before those dollars are allocated.
And David, we need to do both. I don't know why it's either or. We need to invest in the bridge. We need to do that project. And we just recently got $1 billion in the New Jersey Transit. That's a good thing. We need to dedicate it. We need to invest in transit so that it's reliable and it runs right. But to say either or, what are we going to do when that bridge fails? It's an F rating right now. So we're going to repair it. Again, I told you, this is the one area I don't think anybody can challenge me on because I worked on bridges. I know what it takes. It will cost more to repair it than to replace it. And then guess what? That's billions of dollars that we've now taken away from the bridges to put on mass transportation. So how are we going to pay for the bridge when we want to go repair it?
Well, I asked those people, I met with those folks, I asked them for those, that data, they couldn't provide it. They couldn't provide the fact that it would cost more. They couldn't provide the fact that our children wouldn't be affected by trucks coming through our community. So that's where we diverge, that's where I disagree, that we have to take money to invest in transit. It's broken, we have to repair it, we have to add more buses. We need to be talking about public transit. Our conversation should be about public transit. Affordable housing and public transit go together. You can't have those separate conversations. If you build housing for people that are not next to transit, then they can't get to work, they can't get to the supermarket, they can't get to the economy. Therefore, you're making their plight more difficult. You have to have two of those discussions in the same way. Expanding transit and expanding housing is a plan that has to have to overlap with one another, right? It can't be separate. And I would support an executive order immediately because housing is an emergency in this state.